Hello and welcome to Parent Night 2020. I'm David McGrath, Paragon's headmaster and founder, and I'm so excited to greet you and welcome you to our program tonight. Sit back and relax, get to know the teachers, and at the end of the show, we'll move over to a live webinar and answer any questions that you have left. Here we go.
Hello and welcome. I teach 7th and 8th grade English here at Paragon. A little bit about me: I grew up overseas, moving every 2 to 3 years because of my parents' jobs, always attending international schools and always the new kid. And I never actually moved or lived in the United States until college when I came here to Austin. So I got my degrees in English literature and pedagogy, and then my very first job right out of college was at Paragon in 2003. I taught here for 2 years and learned so much about being an effective teacher and about being an effective advocate for children, and just in general having so much fun my first 2 years teaching. And then I decided to try my hand at teaching internationally. We moved to Kobe, Japan, and I taught at Marist Brothers International School for cumulatively about 6 years. I taught 9th grade through 12th grade, pre-AP and AP literature and comp, and I served on the curriculum committee, writing and aligning curriculum from Montessori all the way through 12th, which was very interesting exercise if you're into that kind of thing, which I am. And I received the Teacher of the Year award while I was there, which was very sweet. And I explored Japan all the way from the tip of the top to the bottom of the bottom, and just had a blast doing that, and basically experiencing international life as a teacher instead of a student. But I always thought, if we go back to the States, I hope I can get back into Paragon, because Paragon has that unique mix of, well, work hard, play hard, and they really mean it. And that felt like, you know, my academic home, and I always wanted to get back. So about 3 years ago, I had the chance to come back, and I snapped that chance up. And now I just wake up with a smile every day because I get to work with your kids and the amazing admin and staff and teachers here at Paragon. The course, 7th and 8th grade, are busy, 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 busy years in English. You know, your children, they still have that energy and joie de vivre of being little. They are, in some cases, really into the life, universe, how does it all work, biology, engineering, math. And then they still are interested in like dragons and medieval times and fairies and Harry Potter and magic, and all of that energy combined with a very serious need to express themselves, be taken seriously, to write with cogency, clarity, focus, to be able to revise, to have an online presence that is professional. And it's the alchemy of those two needs, or those two interests, that is really fascinating in these next 2 years in 7th and 8th grade. So please read their writing, read what they're reading, and talk to them about it, because they've got a lot to say and they're still forming those opinions. So they need to talk about it and write about it. My syllabi are available online on Google Classroom. They're stickied at the very bottom and all year long stickied, so you can track with us. Please read what we're reading, know what they're doing, talk to them about it, ask them questions about it. And my contact information is at the very top of that, my 2 emails. So please keep in contact with me. Any questions you have, comments, please send that out to me. In 7th grade, we do so much writing, and we also do so much reading, of course. International literature focus. Our novels and short stories are pulled from all over the world, and we look at the cultural influences on those works and how so many of them have common themes that are just expressed in different ways. So get them thinking about their place in the global fishbowl. And then in 8th grade, we track with Mr. Reynolds' American history class, and we go from Puritans all the way through modern authors that were published about 5 years ago. That is a fascinating look at the culture of the United States and how it has changed and stayed the same. And we have so many wonderful discussions, and really they come up with some incredible writing in that year. And I am primarily a writing instructor. I do love to read the novels with the kids and discuss the novels with the kids and talk about reading comprehension, but really my true interest lies in analyzing and then, you know, editing, revision, and helping them be the best communicators that they can be, and also for other areas. So we learn how to do research and argument, compare and contrast, persuasion, And of course, we try to sprinkle in the creative component, right, with writing and poetry, creative stories and poetry. Sprinkled in with all of that every week, we have got grammar and vocabulary, some spelling, sometimes poetry, those novel discussions, art clips, music clips. We're just busy every single day in English class in 7th and 8th grade. So it's a lot, but they are fully capable of mastering all that content. And in fact, I find that Paragon kids often find a lot of calm and stress relief in academic endeavors. And so we're trying to maintain that level of rigor and challenging them every day. And of course, getting them ready for high school. Thank you for the opportunity to teach your wonderful children. It is a privilege, and I appreciate that very much. Please email me any questions, comments, just want to say hi. Let's establish a connection. We are a team for your kids' academic growth. So let's get that party started. I cannot wait to see you in person or meet you in person. And until then, thank you again, and stay well.
Hi, everyone. I am Coach Jackie, and I am the Director of Physical Education at Paragon for kinder through 8th grades. This is my 6th year teaching at Paragon, and I also get to coach team sports, including volleyball, basketball, and track and field. But I do love being at Paragon. I do love being a PE teacher because I get to help kids move and have fun while doing it. So in 6th through 8th grade, currently, we are working to develop and improve our students' body awareness by doing a variety of workouts that provide functional movements to improve mobility, stability, and foundational strength. Each PE Zoom has a different focus so that we can challenge our students to become aware or more aware of their bodies and push themselves to work a little bit harder to improve each exercise and movement that we do. When we get back to teaching in person, we are really hoping to be able to provide our students with a lot more activities, and also hoping to be able to work with the Austin Recreation Department to give our students an opportunity to do some indoor rock climbing, cycling, and archery. We had a lot of fun doing those last year, so we're really looking forward to hopefully doing that again this year. If you do need to get in touch with me, you can reach me via email. If you have any questions or concerns, reach out. I'm always available and would love to chat and hopefully help you out. That's it. Have a great day.
I am so excited to be at Paragon this year and to be a part of the launch of the Spanish program in the middle school. Although I have worked with students of all ages, I especially love working with middle school students, and that is the age group that I've been working with for the past 12 years. I studied Spanish and Fine Arts at the University of New Mexico, where I had the amazing opportunity to participate in 2 different immersion programs, one in Chihuahua, Mexico, and the other in Pamplona, Spain, where I spent a year abroad at the Public University of Nevada. I fell in love with Spain and the Spanish language, so I returned to Spain and spent another 4.5 years living there after I finished my studies at the University of New Mexico. I started teaching language in Spain when I was still in college, and I've been teaching ever since. I have worked in bilingual education from kindergarten to upper school in public, private, and charter schools. Most recently, I was working at the River School in Weston, Massachusetts, where I was teaching 7th and 8th grade Spanish for the past 9 years, before we decided to relocate here to Austin last year. Both the 7th and the 8th grade will be using digital learning platforms that will provide a wide variety of interactive activities that provide skill building through written, verbal, visual, and listening modalities. The main course objectives for both grades are to build a strong foundation for verbal and written communication in Spanish, to develop study skills for learning and mastering a language, and to gain cultural awareness and competency. Both classes will be taught through the lens of interculturality, with really the belief that the purpose of learning languages is to communicate and interact with cultural competency and understanding. So students' proficiency will be assessed through interpretive, interpersonal, and presentational activities. If there is any way that I can help support your child or answer any questions that you have, Please reach out to me at my costello@knights.paragonprep email address. I'll be happy to set up a time to connect with you. I'm looking forward to a great year ahead, and I'm absolutely overjoyed and thrilled to be a part of the Paragon community. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Adam Holman, and welcome to my Back to School Night Ignite style talk for middle school science. In case you're not familiar with the Ignite format, there will be 20 slides starting with this one that advance automatically every 15 seconds, which adds up to 5 minutes of fun, and I'm sure some awkward pauses and moments, but that's just part of it. I've always wanted to do this format for Back to School Night, and it's 2020, so why not? I love teaching at Paragon because I get the autonomy and support to align my teaching with how students learn science. I also get to work with so many fantastic students. This is my second year at Paragon, and I'm excited to share a little bit about myself as well as my classroom tonight. So let's back up a little bit. Well, maybe not this much, but here I am. I'm my own middle school student in the late 1990s at Murkison Middle School, carrying my mallet bag around with me everywhere I went. I can't help but laugh when I look at this, and just know I know what it's like to be an awkward middle school boy. Helps me relate to my kids for sure. I then became a physics teacher at Anderson High School. Also got to teach some math when they needed me. I taught at Anderson for 6 years. I changed our physics curriculum from pure lecture based to one that was more inquiry focused. And after 6 years at Anderson, I became an assistant principal. But my current quarantine life looks more like this. This is my little dude, Ethan. He is 6 years old, and he is now a first grader at Paragon. And we have fun driving and doing all sorts of things together, where it's driving RC trucks, golf carts, or full-size cars. We just get to hang out and have fun. Professionally, I am a huge fan and I'm obsessed with learning. I co-founded EdCamp Austin. I'm a past president of the Austin Area Council of Teachers of Mathematics. I got my master's from UT in their principalship program, and I created and moderated AISD's first Twitter chat with Dr. Cruz. But tonight, I want to focus on the interactions that are taking place in my classroom. Regardless of whether we're online or in person, I want to focus on the interactions that are taking place in my classroom between me and my students and between my students with each other. So let's take a look at these 4 levels. The first here is passive. Passive is where you're receiving information. I think we can all relate to this pretty well. This looks like a lot of our education. I know it looks like a lot of mine I received growing up. This can be done through lectures or through teacher-led demonstrations where they're doing the talking. Next up is the active interactions where students are doing something. That can be independent practice on balancing chemical equations or doing traditional labs where you're modeling the phases of the moon with Oreo cookies. And I've definitely had way too many Oreos the last week. Constructive interactions are where students are producing new ideas to them. They're figuring stuff out. If you look at the picture on the top there, students are able to model and understand really what's happening as an object changes state. Really great to see their thinking visible. And finally, at the top here, we have the interactive interactions, where students are discussing and critiquing ideas with others. So not just between me as a teacher, but talking about their ideas with each other. And we've already done this a few times in class. I want to look at a few of those examples. It should come as no surprise that the constructive and interactive interactions do offer and provide more learning in science. So I found the curriculum and we do labs that will focus us on these constructive and interactive interactions routinely. And it's going to look different for your kids. But I want to let you know they're fearless. They've jumped right in. They have totally bought in. I'm so excited. I've loved every class so far. Too much to explain here in 15 seconds. So ask your kids what they've been doing. Hopefully they'll be able to tell you. Let's look at a little more closely at their work. So these are some example investigation proposals that we've done the last week. This is a plan that students write down before they start collecting data, but they are designing their own investigations. They're going to collect their own data and analyze their own data as well. These are examples of whiteboards or arguments that students have made that consist of a claim, evidence, and justification. So students are making these artifacts to make their thinking visible rather than just getting a kind of a check or an X when they do an online kind of quiz or test. Students haven't really had a chance to give each other much feedback in their careers. I know I didn't get any, so I always remind students of the ground rules of critique. If we're doing peer review, I give examples of weak and strong feedback. So we scaffold these things to help students be able to do these higher level tasks. In summary, I want my kids to follow fewer procedures, design their own. I want to worry less if answers are right or wrong and think more about what does this show about their thinking. And I want to make sure that I focus on helping students learn from their mistakes instead of focusing on doing it right the first time. If you ever need to get in touch with me, the best way is definitely email. It is adam@paragonprep.com. I'm a big physics nerd. I'm always on my phone. My phone has all my emails. So the best time, honestly, is anytime. But Why would you want to email me? Let's take a look at that. Any reason, honestly, maybe your student's confused. I'd rather have them email me though, see if you can do that. If you have questions about why I'm doing what I'm doing, don't worry, I'm not easily offended. Ask away. If you want more work for your kid, I've got plenty of stuff I can send you, probably some Science Olympiad stuff. Then if you want a different science teacher, sorry, you're out of luck. So here's to a crazy year of science, whether we're online, in person, or a little bit of both. We're on the same path together. I can't wait to get back in person though. Thank you for listening. I'm looking forward to the Q&A here later.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jacob White, and I am the Director of Athletics at Paragon. I'm originally from San Antonio, but I moved to Austin in 2010 to attend UT. I graduated with a Bachelor's of Science in Kinesiology and Health Education. A little bit of personal news for my family. My wife and I are expecting our first baby in January. So that's been, really exciting, really fun, preparing and getting ready for that. I'm going into my 8th year at Paragon, and I've really enjoyed my time at Paragon so far. A little bit about what makes being a coach so fun and special at Paragon is we get to work with the entire student body. When it comes to PE, we see every single grade for PE, and then athletics, we work with the 5th through 8th graders. In general, I have a love for sports and movement, and I want to help cultivate that passion for our kids as well. In addition to the Zoom workouts we've been doing, we're also looking forward to starting some virtual sport practices. Unfortunately, we're not able to do in-person practices, but we are looking forward to doing virtual practices, and those will have different start dates, so keep an eye out for more information on that. We're also looking forward to organizing some virtual competitions against other schools in the league we play in, the Austin Interprovincial League, or AIPL, and that will be in the fall. It'll be some volleyball and football competitions. So keep an eye out for more information on that, but we think that'll be a really fun way to help our students still compete against those other students and athletes from other schools that they would normally compete against in person. So a general athletics calendar year at Paragon is full of different things that we can offer our students. The way we break down our age groups, we have our 5th and 6th graders playing together, and we call that our JV sports. And then we have our 7th and 8th graders who play together, and we refer to that as our varsity sport. In the fall, we have flag football, which is a co-ed sport, and then we also have volleyball. Something new that we were planning on doing this year was moving soccer from the spring to the fall, and that would have started right at the end of flag football and volleyball season. And then in the winter, we offer boys basketball and girls basketball, and something a little bit new we've done the last couple of years is also entered the AIPL swim meet. We have a bunch of swimmers at Paragon who swim almost every day for their club, and so it was really neat last year to have those swimmers come together and represent Paragon. And in the spring, our main sport, now that we have soccer moved to the fall, is track and field. And then we also offer tennis and golf. And with a little bit extra time in the spring, we're looking at offering a couple more sports or clubs that we could do, maybe archery or ultimate frisbee. And we're always looking for new ideas as long as we can fit them into our athletics calendar. Again, that's what a typical school year looks like for athletics at Paragon, but we're looking forward to still doing the best we can to offer different activities and sports for our kids to stay active. If you ever have any questions about athletics at Paragon, please feel free to reach out to me. The best way to contact me would be via email. You can also check out our Paragon Athletics website for more information. That's where we will usually house our schedules and other information regarding athletics. Thank you. Take care.
Welcome, Parent Night, quarantine style 7th, 8th grade math. I'm Marilyn MacArthur. Just a quick little bit about me. I have my BS from Louisiana State University, my master's from LSU in Shreveport. Been a classroom teacher for 33 plus years, 7 years in Shreveport, Louisiana, 5 in Page, Arizona, and this is my 22nd year at Paragon. About me is about my family. My husband and I have raised 4 great children, and we now are watching 9 grandchildren as they grow. I know what you're interested in is what's going on with the 7th and 8th grade math. At Paragon, our tradition for 7th and 8th grade math is at the 7th grade level, we have offered 2 tracks of mathematics. all students start out the beginning of the year doing the same material for the first 6+ weeks. And then at that point, because of their ability to be able to formally think, etc., we have gone into 2 tracks of math. One would be an intro to algebra, and the other would be an Algebra 1 course. Now, this Algebra 1 course is for high school credit. And as you can imagine, that is an advanced pace, an accelerated pace for mathematics. But in the years that I've been at Paragon, we've been very successful in running the math program in this manner. Some students, as I said, are not ready for the complete formal thinking and the fast pace of an Algebra 1 course. So the Intro to Algebra course is a comfortable place for them to firm up their math skills. Moving into the 8th grade, if a student has done the Intro to Algebra course, they're going to move into the Algebra 1 course, and it will follow where they have left off in the Algebra 1 course, a little review and picking up and completing what's considered to be an Algebra 1, high school Algebra 1 credit. The students that have done Algebra 1 at the 7th grade and successfully done it will move on into geometry in the 8th grade. So as you can see here, 7th grade runs an Intro to Algebra and an Algebra 1 class, and 8th grade runs an Algebra 1 and a geometry class. And again, at 7th grade, right now, all are being taught the same material, and at the point where it can be determined which track is the best track for these students. There is no one to say that one is better than the other. It's just whatever fits a student's learning style and their background in mathematics to be able to go through this. So as you can see, a student that leaves Paragon can leave with 2 high school credits, Algebra 1 and geometry. We do have some stipulations that we've put to this, that they have to have made an 85 or higher is our benchmark of showing that we truly have mastery of the subject, especially at this younger age than most students are taking these courses. So making an 85% or higher cumulative grade in these courses will earn them the credits for high school math. So that in a nutshell is what the 7th and 8th grade math program is about. And I welcome any comments or questions that you may want to get to me that pertain more to your particular student. How to support my kids and how to success in the, especially while we're doing the virtual learning, make sure that they attend these Zoom classes and they log in on time. Every day I have students coming in. Sometimes it's just minutes late, but that takes away from us getting totally started, or when they pop in, I have to re-explain what we are doing. So if you can make sure your child logs in maybe just a few minutes before the class starts. If they have a designated workspace where their supplies, their geometry supplies are handy, they have room to write, there's going to be a lot of writing in interactive notebooks, so they need to be able to have their organization set up here so it's ready to go. Using Google Classroom to its absolute best advantage. It's great for the student, it keeps me organized, and hopefully it keeps you a little bit aware of what's going on with your student. Making sure that they have a working computer. Their camera and mic are a must. Wi-Fi, good supporting Wi-Fi is a must. That will make life go a little bit smoother for them. Support with assessments. Now, I still have not wrapped myself completely around how to do assessments with the virtual learning. We will be doing them. Some of them will be formative, which are ongoing, and some of them will be summative, which will be like a quiz or a test where you are showing what you understand about a specific topic. But they are designed for the students to do independently. Have conversations with your student about what they're learning now. I mean, it doesn't have to be a long one, just a couple of minutes long, but I think sometimes if they can talk to someone about the math that they are doing, they're going to understand it better. So I think that would be a great thing. Encourage your students to correspond with teachers, myself especially, as needed, and then make sure they get ample sleep and exercise. Last, I just want a few more resources that we're going to use. We will be using these two programs, Desmos and GeoGebra. They're actually free for anyone to use. So there's a lot of activities, a lot of things that I am constantly learning about how to use these, and we'll be working with them. They talk to Google Classroom, and so these things go in there really, really, really well. Lastly, we're going to be using a program called Freckle. Freckles by Renaissance Learning. Renaissance Learning was the parent company for Accelerated Math, which Paragon has used for all the years I've been there. Accelerated Math has, as I've told the students, it's died. We will be using this program some to do some math work. It's really good program in that it real time with the students. It will pick up on where they're having problems. It will pop up a video that will help explain concepts that they may have. And I will be doing that through Freckle. So I'm still working on the specifics to get it going, but that will be something that will be coming up soon with your students. So that's just a real fast run through of what this year's going to be about. I would love to hear from some of you. Please email me if you need to anytime. Looking for a great year, hoping we can get back on campus. And so I am looking for us again to have a great year. Thank you.
Hey guys, my name is Will Reynolds and I teach 7th and 8th grade U.S. history. I've been teaching middle school social studies history for 28 years now, last 15 of them at Paragon. And I just love it. This is just really a great place to be. You know, it's funny, sometimes you meet somebody and they'll say, what do you do? And you say you're a middle school teacher, and they'll look at you like you're crazy, but I love it. You know, I like to think that I've been doing this for 28 years, long enough now that I'm finally starting to get the hang of it, but not so long that I'm sick of it and I'm burned out. I just really love seeing the kids every day. I wish it were in person rather than on Zoom, but you know, we do the best we can with the hand we've been dealt. One big difference between this year and last year, other than of course Zoom, really has nothing to do with coronavirus. And that is, this year, both the 7th and 8th grade are going to be taking the same subject, U.S. history, which is not to say that it will be the same class. I'm necessarily going to be teaching the two grades a little bit differently for obvious reasons. The 7th graders don't quite have the skills and the background knowledge that the 8th graders have. For instance, when we get to topics in history like the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, the current 8th graders already studied all that last year in their civics class. Whereas for the 7th graders, that's all going to be brand new. So we'll be going at different paces and covering slightly different material, but it will all be U.S. history. So this year's a transition year. Everybody is going to be doing history. So our current 8th graders had civics last year, history this year. Our current 7th graders will be doing history this year and civics next. And the reason for that is I just felt that civics developmentally was kind of a challenge for the 7th graders. It just lends itself to a lot of open-ended questions, a lot of gray area, that some of the 7th graders can really thrive in that gray area, in things that don't necessarily have a right or wrong answer. But many of them developmentally, it's just frustrating for them, and a little bit frustrating for me because I could never really quite get the level of discussion going that I could with 8th graders. And it's just that they're a year older emotionally. The synapses are making more connections, and you know, their brains are just wired a little bit differently. But in any event, I feel like my job is the same. You know, I'll joke with the kids and say, hey, what's the name of this school? And they'll say Paragon. And I'll say, Paragon what? And they'll say Paragon Prep. And I'll say, well, what's the prep part? And they'll say, oh, you're trying to get us ready for high school. And they're not wrong with that, but there's a whole lot more to it. Because honestly, if my job were just to get them ready for high school, I could just mail it in. There is not an 8th grader in this school who's not already ready for high school. I mean, they all could do at least 9th grade work, most of them 10th, 11th, 12th grade work. So I feel like my job is just to take them wherever they are, and they may be working at an 11th grade level right now, and I need to get them to a 12th grade or a freshman in college level. Wherever they are, I need to push them down the line a little bit. And I do push. You know, there's a lot of work. It's a challenging class in terms of the complexity of the material, the speed of the material, the volume of the material. And I think that's necessary and wonderful to push them. But just like if you're working too hard academically, athletically, there is a downside to going too much too fast. And one of the challenges this year, unlike when we're in a classroom, when we're in the classroom, I know whether the kids are getting it. You know, there's so much nonverbal communication that goes on when people are in close proximity to each other and they're talking. I can look at a kid and decide they totally get this and they are bored and they just give me this look like, yeah, come on, get on with the story, we get it. Or whether they are just overwhelmed. When we are on Zoom, that's a really tough thing to do. I just see this tiny little grainy image of them. And unless they say, time out, hold on, I have no idea what you're talking about, it's hard for me really to assess where they are. So one of the things that we talk about in class all the time, and I would love for you to reinforce it with them, is if they don't understand something, if I'm going too fast, too slow, too whatever, just to speak up and, you know, don't just raise your hand because I can't often see all the kids, all these little pictures. Just say, hey, Mr. Reynolds, time out. What are you doing? And that's perfectly fine. And that's not going to hurt my feelings. You know, I take my job very seriously. I take the class very seriously. I don't take myself all that seriously. It's okay. We can kind of laugh at each other and with each other. So if they're having a problem, just let me know in class, email me, set up another little Zoom session, and we can figure it out. So that's one thing that really, I think, all working together, we can get this done. So I mentioned that we're going to push these kids hard, and that's true. But let me just give you a little bit more detail about what I mean by that. There's really 3 things that I am trying to achieve this year. One of them is content. You know, they're going to learn a lot of stuff. Their heads are going to be filled up with a bunch of names and a bunch of terms and a bunch of concepts and places and dates and all that fun stuff. And that is a very necessary thing. I want them to learn some history. But it's not sufficient. You know, if that's all I'm doing, I don't know that I'm really doing my job well, because let's face it, as soon as the test is over, a lot of that information is just going to go away. And it's how it's always been and probably always will be. So content alone is not going to cut it. The other thing, the second goal that I have, is not only to teach content, but to teach them how to be students. I want them to learn how to take notes. I want them to learn how to be advocates for themselves. I want them to learn how to write a good essay. I want them to learn how to read a textbook correctly. You know, reading a textbook is very different than reading a novel. So all those sorts of skills that they are going to need to achieve in high school or college or med school, whatever, trying to teach that. The third thing that I'm trying to accomplish is I'm trying to impart to them a love of this subject. You know, I want them to become more interested in history and government and politics and the world around them. So I'm trying to light a fire under them, because I know I can only cover so much material in the course of a year. But if I can get them interested in the subject and get them watching the news and reading the papers and participating in our democratic system, then I have prepared them not only for high school and for college, but to be a success in life and to keep this country successful. So the last little point that I wanted to hit is how can you help your students succeed? I've kind of mentioned it already, that you can reinforce this idea that it's hard for me to really have a good grasp on where they are in terms of comprehending this material. Obviously, once the test comes, I'll see that whether they were prepared and they understood it or not. But by then it's too late. So because it's hard for me to really know where they are, if you can encourage them to speak up in class, email me. And I think, again, going back to this idea of them learning how to be a student, I really think that the first line of defense there, if they don't understand something, is between the student and the teacher. If that doesn't work for whatever reason, feel free to get involved, and you can contact me directly as well if you think there's an issue. But increasingly, I think your role as a 7th and 8th grade parent is, as much as possible, to kind of back off and let your son or daughter handle things on their own. So ideally, your son or daughter can take that responsibility on. If not, if for whatever reason that's not happening, absolutely give me, shoot me an email. The other thing is just to make sure that your kids are actually, coming to class every day and coming to class on time. If you go to Jupiter, you're going to be able to see their attendance. And I will mark them either absent or tardy if they're absent or tardy. So if you start to see an issue, and I know many of you aren't home during the day because you've got to work as well, but if you start to see some absences and tardies piling up, again, encourage your kids. You got to come to class every day. Other than that, I don't know what else to tell you. I'm not going to read my syllabus to you. Nothing could be more boring to me than have someone reading to me. The syllabus is there, and look at specifics like, grading scales and absence policy, all that kind of nitty gritty. That's all there for you. I don't want to spend your time talking about that. I'm looking forward to a great year. It's going to be an odd year. Hopefully we'll get back in person as soon as possible. But for now, I'm really, really encouraged. Your kids are handling this like troopers. I see nothing but good attitudes, and hopefully we'll be able to keep that up as the year goes on. You got great kids, and we're having fun. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Emily Boltz, and I teach art to kindergarten through 8th grade, and I'm the Social and Emotional Learning Director for Paragon. I love making art personally. I'm also a musician, and of course, I love spending time with my family, my sweet husband, and my sweet little 5-month-old baby Magnolia. I also love spending time outside. We just recently moved to Bastrop, and I'm loving it. We're really close to the river and some great parks to spend time outside. And my husband and I also love gardening. So that's a lot of how I spend my time when I'm not at school. When I am at school with your students making art, there is so much that goes on, and there's so many reasons why I love it. So first, I think that creativity is just one of the most fundamental parts of being human. Some students come to my class and they say to me, I'm not creative, but I don't believe that. To me, what creativity really means is not taking something out of thin air or making up something out of nothing. Instead, creativity is taking what you already know and the resources that you have available and rearranging them in some sort of new or interesting way. So this year, sure, we're going to practice being creative. We're going to take what we know and use those creative problem-solving skills to make arts. Also, many students come to my class and they say, I'm not an artist. Well, being a good artist, being skilled at drawing or painting or sculpture or design are skills that anyone can learn at any point in life if you're taught the right steps and, of course, you practice. So I love teaching students those skills to help them gain confidence as artists. We each have our own unique perspective depending on your own personal experience. Whatever you've gone through in life creates the lens that you see the world through. And I want to help students gain confidence and also feel free to express those ideas and perspectives. So that's something that I love to do over time, is help them become more comfortable creating in their own unique style, and also learning some foundational skills along the way. I also love teaching art because I really believe that no matter what my students decide to pursue later on in life, these are going to be useful skills. No matter what career path you choose, it's important to be able to communicate your ideas in a cohesive and coherent way, visually, and explain where those ideas come from and what those deeper meanings are to you. We can also learn empathy through art by looking at other artists' work and seeing their perspective, seeing through their eyes. We can start to learn about the different struggles and strife that many different people and cultures have gone through over time. Through our social and emotional learning curriculum, I've created tons of tiny little mini lessons that I've made available to all of our teachers at Paragon so they can incorporate those and use those lessons when it's important to them. Those lessons are mostly based on mindfulness. Mindfulness is about being in the present moment, gaining self-awareness and the awareness of what's going on with other people around you, and finally, experiencing all of that without judgment. And really, it's about learning skills to ride the waves of emotions that we all surf in life. My hope is that through art this year, some of those social and emotional lessons are interwoven into the work that we do. We have a lot of projects and opportunities this year for self-reflection. One of those opportunities that you're going to see at home a lot is through the art journal. Each week, students are choosing a prompt from a list of about 50-something prompts. And what they may or may not have realized by now is that honestly, all of these prompts come from art therapy. These are all opportunities for them to do some personal exploration and have an opportunity in their art journals to process and express freely. So every Friday, students will be turning in one of those art journal entries based on that prompt. And I've already seen some really powerful work. Throughout the year, we are going to be learning about different artists, their unique perspectives, and these are going to be artists and artworks that we'll look at from all over the world. We'll analyze those works of art and then use that as a jumping point for something that we'll create at home. This year, while we're doing remote learning, our projects are going to stay really open-ended. It's going to be a prompt, an idea, something that students can really do some deep and critical thinking about, but then use any materials, any art mediums that they have at home available to them to create with. So there's no limit depending on what materials or resources that they have at home. Now, remote learning does create some unique challenges, but also some unique opportunities. Now, I know that when we go to art, one of the most exciting things is to see that studio and all of the cool materials and supplies that you'll get to use that you might not have at home. But we also have a unique opportunity to use what we have at home, to really get familiar and become more resourceful. I'm going to be honest, I am taking inspiration from Bob Ross and Fred Rogers, and I figure if they can do this virtually, well, so can I. At least I promise that I'll do my very best. If you ever have any questions, I'm always available. The best way to reach me is through email. I can't wait to work more with your students and to create together.
My name is Joey Silva, and I'm the Director of Student Development here at Paragon. This is my 6th year here at Paragon, and it looks like it's going to be the most challenging of them all from what the world is telling us, but we're happy that you guys have come here and returned. I got my degree from the University of Texas at Dallas in psychology, and I have my master's degree from the University of Texas Austin in educational psychology. Basically, what I do here at Paragon is monitor and track your students' academic, social, and emotional progression the time they're here at Paragon, intervening whenever necessary. I also run the Valor program here at Paragon. It's a support program if your student needs some kind of motivational help, some tutoring help, or they have some kind of learning difference. I also coordinate with outside agencies to make sure that your student is fully supported, and coordinate with the teachers to make sure they receive these goals and help support these goals from professionals. Throughout this school year, I work in groups through the Zoom classes with my Valor kids, and I also get on one-on-one with them, during their PE class sometimes or during study hall. I attend our staff meetings with the rest of the teachers and make sure they're passing on information from me if there's anything that I might be able to help with students that they might see struggling. In that case, I can reach out to you. But basically, I'm your one-stop shop if your kid needs support. When we get back to seeing each other, hopefully, which is sooner than later, I will be in and out of classes, in and out of study halls to make sure I kind of have my ear to the ground and see what's going on as far as students in need as I see within the classroom. If you have questions about this, I know it's a lot of information and you might have some, please come to me directly, as every case seems to be different. Rarely do we see a case where one solution is going to work for every single kid. So we're going to make sure that I have a learning plan and a goal plan that's designed unique for your student, and then making sure that their needs and your needs are being met. Again, if they're struggling with any of the subjects, I've taken most of these classes several times, but most of these teachers I've worked with, and I know what they expect of your kid, and I know what they expect of your student, and so I can be a good sounding board if you're ever unsure about something, about an assignment. Again, you can reach out to me if for anything. I thank you all for your time, and again, I look forward to meeting you and maybe talking to you here at the panel at the end of this presentation.
Hey everybody, it's Mark Hathaway here. I am the other owner of the school and business manager for Paragon Prep. If you get an email from the business office, that's me. So it's typically sending invoices for whatever it might be, whether it's tuition installments, or it might be, as we get back, if we get back into aftercare or Fast Food Fridays and things like that, those will come from me. And so if you ever have any questions about anything, just let me know and I can help you out with that or get your receipts. And the best way to do it is to email me at mark@paragonprep.com. I can't believe it, but this is our 24th year here. I fight with the title of Director of Fun with Miss Hay, but hey, if we have more people trying to direct fun, then that's good for us. I think as we get back to campus, that'll be our number one thing, is to make sure that we'll be learning in the classroom, but we'll also be having as much fun as we can together in a safe way at school. That's one of the things I love about our school. From the first year where we had 46 kids to now, we've gone through, we've been at different campuses and we've moved here, and I really like that our personality as a school is the same as it was that first year. Kind of quirky, kind of fun, but getting lots of stuff done. So anyways, looking forward to an interesting year, and so can't wait to meet all of you in person someday. So anyways, here's to a good 2021.
I am starting my 10th year at Paragon, and most of those years I have been a parent as well as an administrator here. And one thing that always surprises me every year is how much dedication and expertise and patience our staff has. This summer has been unlike any other. Our teachers have worked tirelessly, barely taking a break, to try to prepare for our virtual online start. So usually at this time in the parent night meeting, I will tell you about our teacher appreciation meals. We don't appreciate our teachers just one week in the spring. We actually come up with a plan to appreciate them every week. And so I'm going to take off my administrator hat and put on my parent hat and say, I know these teachers deserve every bit of anything we can give them after everything that they've done to prepare this fall, and everything that they're doing right now to prepare for a hybrid program as well as a return to campus. I get to see our staff meetings and just the level of professionalism and dedication that our teachers have is matched by no other. It is impressive, and I am so proud to have my children here learning with these fine educators. You will be receiving an email from me in the next few days explaining our Teacher Appreciation Meal program. You can do anything to help appreciate the teachers. You could drop off donuts or cookies. Since we are virtual, it might be better to just donate to our Teacher Appreciation Fund. And Mrs. Jones finds all of our favorite things and sends them to our house, which is amazing if you're working hard all week. And then on Friday, a bag of Tiff's treats arrives. It is absolutely mind-blowing how that can change the trajectory of a weekend. So we appreciate you parents. I, as an administrator, appreciate when you guys take care of our teachers and let them know how much we appreciate their dedication and their time that they have spent on our children and giving them the best education that they can. And with that, it brings us to the end of our program tonight. If you have any questions, anything that's been left that we haven't addressed, please stick around for the webinar and you can ask any of our teachers. You can also feel free to contact any of us. All of our information is available on our website at paragonprep.com. And have a great evening.